These mansions were definitely not built for the middle class. These are homes for people who have more than $1 billion in their accounts. Today, we will peek behind the gates of the most expensive houses on the planet, places where ordinary people do not even get close. Welcome to the channel for the richest and the luxury life. Say hello to Chateau de Shamborg, a Renaissance jewel with a history of more than 500 years. Even Leonardo da Vinci had a hand in its design, inventing the legendary double helix staircase where those going up never meet those coming down. The chateau has 426 rooms and more than 4,500 works of art from different eras. Its grounds form the largest enclosed park in Europe, 5,440 hectares, or about 54.4 square kilometers. Surrounded by a wall 32 kilometers long, the estate is so vast that half of Paris could easily fit inside it. Chateau de Shamborg is essentially priceless. Its estimated value exceeds $1 billion. But even if you had that money, you still could not buy it. The chateau is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is partially open to visitors. The Evergreen Crystal Palace is the perfect hideout for a billionaire hermit. This 5-story glass mega residence in the state of Missouri is listed for $80 million. Construction began back in 1990 for businessman Robert Plaster, but the project turned out to be so grand that it was completed only in 2022 after the owner's death. Since then, the Evergreen Crystal Palace has been waiting for a new owner, someone who appreciates total isolation and privacy across 2,320 square meters of living space. That is so much space that you could comfortably fit an entire football field inside. The house can be reached only by air, so there are 2 helipads on the roof. Inside are green marble, bronze details, a jacuzzi with a water view, a private bar the size of a restaurant, and an underground garage for 12 cars. Would you live in such a glass castle? Would you pay $238 million for bare walls in an unfinished apartment? Billionaire Ken Griffin did in 2019. This is the most expensive 4-level penthouse ever sold in the United States. It occupies the top floors of Central Park Tower, a 132-story residential skyscraper, the tallest in the world. From the windows, you get panoramic views of Central Park and all of New York. The penthouse area is 2,230 square meters, about 20 times larger than typical apartments in the same building. Then tens of millions more were poured into ultra-luxury finishes. Griffin even paid $750,000 for an underground parking spot in a garage designed for 64 cars, and he does not even plan to live there permanently. To get a sense of scale, for $238 million, you could provide housing for more than 1,000 families. Instead, this apartment sits empty most of the time. Chateau Louis XIV is the new old castle. How old do you think it is? 300 years? 400? In fact, only about 14. It is the only modern castle in all of France, and it is located just minutes from Versailles. The villa covers about 7,000 square meters. Its architecture is inspired by the style of Louis XIV's era, while inside it blends historic design with cutting-edge technology. The estate is surrounded by 23 hectares of gardens, with a fountain coated in genuine gilded gold leaf and a park created in the spirit of Louis XIV's original residence at Versailles. To realize this ambitious project, it took hundreds of French craftsmen and 3 years of work. Tons of marble and more than 15,000 gold leaves were used. The result is a masterpiece worth about $300 million, later purchased by an anonymous buyer. Have you ever been on a plot the size of a small town? Meet Villa Leopolda on the French Riviera. It is valued at roughly 750 million euros. With an area of 72,843 square meters, it is one of the most expensive private residences in Europe. It was built by King Leopold II of Belgium himself. The layout flows like a continuous route. One space transitions smoothly into the next, creating a feeling of endlessness. Several pavilions are devoted entirely to galleries of art and antiques from around the world. Every piece is selected to fit the villa's aesthetic perfectly. The gardens are planted with rare and exotic species you will not find anywhere else in Europe. That is why this territory is considered one of the world's most beautiful landscapes. Even Alfred Hitchcock could not resist and filmed one of his movies here.
To wake up in Versailles-like interiors, you do not have to go to France.
Just buy Palazzo De Vista, a mansion on Florida's famous Millionaire's Mile. There is a private beach and 150 meters of shoreline. You can dock a couple of yachts there at once. One look at the gates covered in 22-karat gold makes it clear that this is pure, concentrated luxury. In the giant hall stands a marble staircase costing $2 million and a 120-year-old Austrian chandelier. On the grounds, there is garage space for 30 automobiles, a resort-style pool with a bar and a water slide, and the world's first private IMAX theater. Even Versailles cannot boast that. In 2017, this palace, originally called Le Palais Royal, was listed for $159 million, setting a United States price record, but it ultimately sold for only $42.5 million. It seems the new owner really knows how to negotiate. Would you like to live in a real Barbie dream house? Then meet Palais Boulle, the Bubble Palace, an eccentric pink mansion near Cannes that belonged to designer Pierre Cardin. Each of the 10 bedrooms was decorated by its own contemporary artist. The furniture looks as if it arrived from another planet. Everything from chairs to built-in niches was custom-made and exists as one-of-a-kind pieces. Guests can watch shows in a 500-seat amphitheater or dive into an infinity pool overlooking the French Riviera. In 2017, Cardin listed Palais Boulle for a staggering 350 million euros, but the right eccentric billionaire willing to buy it still has not been found. While the palace awaits a new owner, it has become a set for music videos, films, and fashion shows. Billionaire Mansion is a home only a tiny number of billionaires can afford. The name says it all. This palace in Beverly Hills was valued at $250 million, and only about 3,000 people on the planet could afford it because only they are officially billionaires. The 4-story residence of 3,530 square meters is literally a luxury shopping mall disguised as a private home. On the grounds, there is an infinity pool overlooking the city, a collection of classic and sports cars worth about $30 million, more than 130 works of art from around the world, and even a helicopter on the roof, as if straight out of an 80s television show. In 2019, the mansion finally found an owner, Charles Cohen, who bought it for only $94 million. After all, billionaires do not get rich by making bad financial decisions. Architect Aldo Stark was so obsessed with Ferrari that he designed an entire house inspired by the legendary brand. Thus, Kasa Marinelo was born. It is the most expensive property in Delray Beach, Florida. The house sold for $50.5 million. At the entrance, guests are greeted by a fountain with Ferrari's signature rearing horse. Inside, there is a private gallery for 12 supercars, and in the central hall stands a unique 75% scale replica of the classic Ferrari 250 Testarossa, the only one of its kind. The wellness zone rivals Bulgari hotels in luxury, a Himalayan salt room, a sauna, and a steam room. The bar alone costs $2 million, with a counter of backlit tiger's eye onyx and walls of petrified wood more than 1 million years old. The buyer's identity has been kept secret, but one thing is certain: this person loves Ferrari with all their heart. When it comes to iconic Los Angeles mansions, the Manor is the crown of the collection. Prince Charles and Hugh Hefner have both been here. The house once belonged to producer Aaron Spelling and his wife Candy. This White Castle in Beverly Hills covers 5,250 square meters. Because of it, Spelling entered the Guinness World Records as the owner of the largest private home in the world at the time. The manor has 123 rooms, some of which Candy designed personally, a dedicated room for creating floral arrangements, another for wrapping gifts, a wine and cheese room, and even a special room for a doll collection. The Spelling family lived here for 18 years. After their deaths, the house was listed for $165 million. But let us be honest. Who is really ready to pay that kind of money, even for a house of this size? Living in harmony with nature is the main idea of Villa Sienna, a futuristic Bali villa inspired by the 4 elements. After a long day, you can sink into a reflecting pool designed to feel like a flowing river, or relax in a spa surrounded by living plants brought straight from the jungle. Want to grill something? There are open fireplaces both indoors and out. On the roof, there is a 115 square meter picnic garden where you can stargaze or even sleep directly under the open sky thanks to a retractable bedroom roof. This entire dream is on sale for $177 million, but Villa Sienna is still waiting for the billionaire who will fall in love with its conceptual charm. Can you believe that Normandy's most expensive house stood in ruins for more than 100 years? Everything changed when designer Jacques Garcia bought Chateau Duchamp de Bataille in 1992 and restored the splendor of an 18th century French noble estate. Every detail, from antique furniture to 20,000 rare books, was chosen to recreate the life of the French aristocracy. There is even a real cabinet of curiosities packed with oddities from around the world and a small zoo of taxidermy animals. And the estate keeps expanding: an Indian pavilion, a grotto with a waterfall, and more besides. It seems that any wish, even the craziest one, can be fulfilled here. The chateau's value has already surpassed $1 billion. It has become so exclusive that even billionaires cannot buy it. They can only rent it for a while. Do you dream of a fairy tale house or your own island? At Tarpon Isle, you do not have to choose. You get both. This is the only private residence on an entire island in Palm Beach, Florida. The estate spans 8,093 square meters. Inside, there are 11 bedrooms, 15 marble bathrooms, a private cinema, a massage room, and several gyms. On the grounds, there is the city's only tennis court with night lighting and a luxurious spa complex next to a 30-meter pool made for sipping cocktails with an ocean view. And of course, there is a private dock, because the best way to arrive is by yacht. Originally, the mansion was offered for $218 million, but in 2024, it sold for roughly $150 million, becoming the most expensive residential sale in Palm Beach history. They say you cannot buy peace and happiness, but in Phuket, they cost about $18 million. That is the asking price for Yamu 1, a hillside villa that seems to relax anyone instantly. The estate has 4 levels and a plot of 10,954 square meters. Every corner is made for yoga, meditation, and inner silence. The garden flows down to the shoreline, opening incredible views of Phang Nga Bay. A 24-meter saltwater infinity pool lined with volcanic stone literally merges with the ocean. Swimming there feels like dissolving into the sea. Inside, the design is minimalist, with an emphasis on water. There is no visual noise, only calm lines and beautiful views. A dedicated team of 6 takes care of everything, from fine dinners to spa treatments. Honestly, who would not run away here for at least a day? Valued at $18 million, Le Chateau de Lumiere is the most expensive private residence in the state of Virginia. It was inspired by 17th century French architecture. Every detail is made from timeless materials: cherry wood, marble, wrought iron inlaid with gold. But behind the classical facade lies modern luxury: a private cinema, a spa area, and even a full-size basketball court. It has been 13 years since it was built, but no one has lived here yet. Honestly, with scenery like this, it feels like a crime not to film the next season of a historical drama right inside this house. You will not find another mansion as integrated with nature as Lionheart, a villa in the ultra-private Oil Nut Bay Resort in the Caribbean Sea. The home sits on a hillside plot of 50,586 square meters. That is enough land to fit 100 ordinary houses, but there are only 2 villas here. The roofs literally blend with the terrain, and the entire structure uses natural materials, fossilized shell tiles, sliding glass doors, and as much daylight as possible. From the infinity pool carved right into the rock, you get sweeping ocean views that take your breath away. This secluded paradise costs $39.5 million. Even Buckingham Palace would feel modest beside the extravagant palace of businessman Valerie Kogan, valued at $259 million. This residence in Caesarea, Israel is inspired by Russian imperial architecture and combines elements of Baroque and Rococo. Inside, there is marble, onyx, silk, gilded stucco, and so much gold that even Versailles would blush with envy. In the courtyard, there are 2 fountains with Roman statues, a huge pool with surround sound music, and an outdoor television. The home was first listed in 2020, but the price had to be cut by 40%, down to $149.5 million. Even so, it remains the most expensive private residence in Israel. Julius Caesar would probably feel at home in Mega Mansion Romantica, though it is not in ancient Rome but in the elite gated community of Dubai Hills. The price is about $32.5 million. The interiors balance between showy opulence and calm white walls with hand-finished details, 6-meter-high ceilings, and marble floors with a pearlescent sheen. The whole house literally glows. The mansion has 6 bedrooms with their own dressing rooms and 8 bathrooms, each with its own style. Outside, there is a barbecue area for 18 people and a resort-style pool with a cascading waterfall. At Stonebridge Mansion in Ontario, you could build your own 5-star resort and still leave part of the land untouched. The developer bought 212,465 square meters of private forest with 3 huge ponds, a cascading stream, a spring-fed lake, and even a white sand beach. And all this for a single billionaire's residence. The European-style villa at the center of the property boasts truly unique features: a dedicated room with a TrackMan golf simulator, a private frozen dessert room, a custom-built ice cream and gelato bar, and a winter garden beneath a glass dome straight out of a fairy tale. And the entire package cost only $13.7 million. Developer Niall Niami spent 8 years building perhaps the most scandalous house in United States history, the Bel Air beast called The One. Initially, it was valued at $500 million. The mansion has 21 bedrooms, 42 bathrooms, and 9,750 square meters of space. It occupies nearly an entire city block. There is a garage for 50 cars, a gym with a 120-meter running track, a 4-lane bowling alley, a nightclub with its own bar, a 930-square-meter golf green, 5 infinity pools, a cigar lounge, and even its own art gallery. But Niami never found a buyer, ultimately went bankrupt, and the house sold at auction for only $126 million. Now the new owners are trying to resell the one for about $340 million. Without a doubt, it is one of the craziest stories in the world of ultra-prime real estate. How about drinking coffee at a height of 170 meters with the Mediterranean right in front of your eyes? That is life for the owners of the world's most expensive penthouse, the Tour Odon Sky Penthouse, which sold for roughly $440 million. It occupies the top 5 floors of Monaco's tallest skyscraper, the 49-story Tour Odon. The penthouse area is 3,300 square meters, bigger than many office buildings. On the roof, there is a circular infinity pool with an extreme water slide and a full 360-degree view of Monaco. Floor-to-ceiling windows turn the sea and the city into a living painting. The owner gets unlimited access to a spa, a nightclub, a bowling alley, a private cinema, and round-the-clock limousine service right in the building. At first glance, it looks like Queen Elsa's ice castle from a fairy tale, but in fact, it is an incredibly expensive mountain retreat at the foot of Aspen Mountain. Its most impressive detail is the enormous sliding glass doors on the facade. In winter, you can admire the snow-capped peaks while staying warm right from the living room. In summer, you just open those doors and cool mountain air flows through the entire house. The mansion even has its own private ski run that descends right to the back entrance. After hitting the slopes, you can warm up in the outdoor jacuzzi or have dinner in the revolving dining room with panoramic mountain views. Bad weather is no problem because the house has its own bowling alley and a sound-insulated cinema. The price of this winter paradise is $76 million, and magnate Terry Taylor paid it in cash without bargaining. Big Sur in California is the only house in the country so close to the ocean that you can watch whales and dolphins right from your terrace chair. This private residence includes 4 combined lots and 8 buildings scattered across 43 acres, about half the area of Vatican City. On the property, there is a unique private funicular costing about $3 million, lifting guests from the beach straight to the main house on top of the cliff. The house itself is a true 70s retro masterpiece, floor-to-ceiling windows, wood and stone finishes, and a giant boulder fireplace that takes up an entire wall. And all this luxury could be yours for about $21.5 million. Honestly, that looks like a bargain for this scale. In the exclusive community of White Stallion Estates, not far from Beverly Hills, even stars like Britney Spears and Jamie Foxx tried to secure their own slice. Their target was the Quincy, a $30 million mansion on a pristine 20-acre site with wraparound views of the Santa Monica Mountains and the Pacific Ocean. This single-story home is designed so that each room gets maximum natural light. Huge windows and sliding doors open the spaces directly to the outdoors. On one side, there is a black mirror effect pool. On the other, a pickleball court. Inside are a hall with a 4K cinema, a gym with a spa area, and a wine wall that holds 540 bottles. While Hollywood thinks it over, the Quincy can even be rented for a few dreamlike days. Combine the natural beauty of the Mediterranean with the glamour of Beverly Hills, and you get Palazzo Diamore, a party palace worthy of a modern Gatsby. It has everything for truly large-scale events, a luxurious ballroom for dancing, an auditorium for concerts, and even a real theater. In summer, you can host a grand reception for 150 guests by the infinity pool with panoramic views of the Pacific Ocean and West Los Angeles. Guests sip some of the best American wines produced right on the estate's own vineyard. In 2014, Palazzo Diamore was listed for $195 million, setting a national price record. In 2022, it returned to the market at $129 million, and the new Gatsby still has not knocked on its doors. When the noise of the big city starts to press in, the best escape is this striking mega villa in the province of Alberta, Canada. The house sits on perhaps the best plot in all of Calgary, with dizzying mountain views. And all this for about $4.5 million. Inside, there are 1,020 square meters of monumental black and white minimalism. The house is designed to remove visual clutter and leave a sensation of purity and order. Every touch is considered so that a guest feels calm and protected. Highlights include a dedicated smoker's room, a wine vault, and a private library with a reading hall. It may not be the most expensive house in the roundup, but in uniqueness and character, it is certainly not inferior to the others. On Long Island stands Fortune, the former estate of Henry Ford II, heir to the legendary automotive empire. This European-style mansion was built in the late 1950s. The holdings include about 42 acres of land and roughly 1 mile of private Atlantic shoreline. Inside, mid-20th century touches are still preserved: decorative molded ceilings, marble fireplaces from Italy, and French parquet floors. Outside, there is a tennis court, a basketball court, and an 18-meter pool. In 2017, the house was listed for $175 million, but no buyers appeared. Then HBO rented the estate to film the series Succession. After the show's success in 2021, the mansion was finally sold for a substantial sum. And so, we have reached the end of our tour of the most insanely expensive homes on the planet. What do you think? Does it really make sense to spend such astronomical sums on mansions that sometimes even sit empty? Or is it more logical to invest that money in something completely different? Be sure to write your opinion in the comments. What would you do with such fortunes? And we will see you in the next episode on the channel for the richest. Thanks for watching.